it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro's Sushi, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, and 8 Weeks to Wellness. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, this is episode 26 of the Chiro Hustle podcast, and today our guest is Liam Schubel himself, the Schubelnator. I'm your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host Jim to tell you all about our guest.
So what I can really tell you guys is the bigger the life, the bigger the vision. And if you want to hear what the big life is all about and the big idea, listen to Liam Schubel drop knowledge on everybody. We went about over an hour on this episode, so stay with us. What is your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor?
Well, Jim, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to help people. I always, kind of made this pact with God when I was a kid. And I said, God, if you bless me in some way, give me some kind of talent or skill, I'm going to use those blessings and skills to help other people. That was really my goal from a very young age. And, I looked at different avenues for that to happen. Believe it or not, at one point, I was actually considering the priesthood. I loved in the Catholic religion, I loved the idea of having a flock of people and helping them and, being responsible for their growth and their well-being. But the idea of not being able to be with a woman or get married or have children, that kind of turned me off to that very quickly when I found that out. Then I said, you know what, a medical doctor sounds like a great thing. Medical doctors save lives, and maybe I could do something in that realm. And I started to work as what they called a candy striper in the hospital. And what I was doing was I was bringing people back and forth to the radiological room, so they could get their x-rays or their MRIs or what have you. And one of the things I noticed when I was working there is that, emergency medicine was doing such great things and saving such lives. But when the people got to the other floors in the hospital and then started to get on these regimens of pills, even in talking with the doctors and with the nurses, you could see that the frustration that, they would take this pill and that would treat this symptom, but then it would cause some other pathology in the body. And then that pathology would manifest in a symptom, and then they'd have to take another pill for that, or they'd have to get an operation to chop that piece out that was no longer working. And I just thought, gosh, these people are getting sicker and sicker. How frustrating is this? I don't want to do that for a living, And my mom, around this time, she was diagnosed with bilateral bursitis. So both shoulders, the bursa, were not producing enough lubrication, and every time she went to move her shoulder, she would scream out in pain. It was like she was getting stabbed in the shoulder. And she went to the medical doctor, she got the pills, and it kept getting worse. She got the injections, it was getting worse. And nobody knew what to do. And I remember sitting at the foot of her bed just being in absolute frustration, depression, just kind of like a lot of our patients that come into our practice. They've been around the mill, and they're just frustrated that they keep taking these pills and they keep putting these injections in, they keep having these surgeries, and they're treating all the effects of a body that's not functioning right, but they can't seem to find out what the cause is. Why am I not healing and functioning like before? And I remember that feeling of frustration as I sat at the foot of her bed and just praying that, something would help her. And one of her crazy friends said, hey, you know what? Have you ever tried chiropractic? And so, my mother said, what, are you crazy? Well, I don't have back pain or neck pain. Why would I try chiropractic? I've got bilateral bursitis. The problem is my shoulders, and every time I try to move, I'm like an invalid here. I can't move without screaming. And her friend says, well, how's all that pills and injections? How are they working out for you? And she says, horrible. It's destroying my stomach. I've got kidney problems now. It's affecting my liver. She said, well, I think it would be a smart thing then to try something different and see if you can get a different result. So my mom, out of desperation, and this is how it so often happens in chiropractic offices, out of desperation and after trying all of mainstream medicine, she goes to the alternative to medicine, and I just love that idea, like that first you try the pills, first you try the injections, first you try the surgeries, and if that doesn't work, you go to the alternative, which is something more conservative, which is chiropractic care. So she goes to the chiropractor. The doctor he's practicing in downtown Freehold, New Jersey, which at that time was a heavily populated African American area. And this doctor was a white doctor, graduate from Sherman College of Chiropractic. And get this, his name was Robert E. Lee, the Confederate General of the United States. That was his name. So I said, this guy's got a lot of chutzpah, to be practicing in this community with this name. And we walked in there, and he checked my mom, and he says, okay, your atlas is out of place, and I'm going to do this thing called the toggle. And he gave her an adjustment. My dad was there. I thought my dad was going to punch the doctor in the face because, if you've ever seen a toggle being done, it kind of looks like you're doing a karate chop to the side of the neck. And does this adjustment. My mom is like, wow, that's phenomenal. I feel something. I feel different. I feel like something has happened. I feel more energy in my body. And then to make this long story shorter, end result is she completely heals of this problem, and she's off the pills now. She's not taking the injections, and she's back to being my Energizer Bunny mom, running all over the place with her 4 kids, taking us to Boy Scouts, taking us to soccer, active. Her life has been restored, right? So she's had a life restoration process take place through chiropractic. Well, that chiropractor didn't stop there. He said to my mom, well, that's great. I'm glad to hear you had such great results. Now, when are we going to see your children in here? So my mom says, what, my kids don't have back pain or neck pain. Why would I go see the chiropractor? And he says, well, tell me about the health of your son. Your son Liam's here. Tell me about that. Well, my son Liam has had pneumonia now 3 times in a row. Well, that's not normal. Why do you think that is? And she says, well, I don't know, but we're sick and tired of him taking these antibiotics. He doesn't seem to be getting any better. Well, let me check his spine. Checks me, does an atlas adjustment. And as the famous Dr. Fred Barge said, from that point on, we as a family started to live a life without fear. We no longer had a medicine cabinet in our house. And at that point, I said, you know what? This is something I definitely want to study. This chiropractic is something I want to study. But in the meantime, at that point, I was going to college and I was studying communications. I was going to be a communication major. So I'm studying radio and television at this point. And I got towards the end of my career there, and I said, you know what? I just don't like this business. Radio and television, it's all about backstabbing. I really want to help people. And I went to visit a chiropractor again, and I said to the chiropractor, you know what? I'm really confused here. I think I might have wasted, and if you know my career now, you know it wasn't a waste. But at that time, I thought that studying all this communication was a complete waste of time now, because now I'm going to go to Chiropractic College. And I had to double up on classes and go over the summertime and take all these organic chemistry and general chemistry and physics, because obviously they don't teach that in your communication courses. So I went to go see the chiropractor, and I said, you know what, I'm thinking I'm doing this, but I got to tell you, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm making a mistake. And he said, listen, if everybody knew how great it is to be a chiropractor, everybody would be a chiropractor. He says, because this is just the greatest thing in life. He goes, I get paid to love people where they're at in life and help them to express their lives optimally. I get paid to love people and liberate the optimal expression of their lives. And he says, you know, my lifestyle is fantastic. Look at what I do. I work when I work, as much as I want, as little as I want. You know, he says, this is the greatest gig on the planet. So I said, great, sold. And I went to Chiropractic College. And so that's how I got into Chiropractic College. What was the other question, Jim? It was how I got into Chiropractic College, or how I got, what was it, how I got in the profession?
No, it was what is your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor? And I think you've already answered both those questions pretty soundly. And I know Luke has a follow-up question for you based on that.
Great.
So, other than you being kind of a big deal, what else makes you unique in the chiropractic world?
Well, you know, I think that I have a big vision. I have a quote that I love that's in my smash hit book, CAST to Be Chiropractors. And in the opening of that book, the author, who is me, says, the quote is, the bigger the vision, the bigger the life. And I have a vision of every man, woman, and child on this planet being checked for vertebral subluxation and adjusted when necessary from birth. So it's a world vision. And I think what makes me unique in compared to other speakers, many of the speakers you'll see on stage, they've done wonderful things in their communities, and that's certainly laudable, but they don't have much experience on the international front. And I've opened up offices now in 3 different countries. I have 20 chiropractic offices in 3 different countries. And now I'm working with doctors all over the world because the principles are the principles. The systems that we use to help doctors of chiropractic thrive, there might be subtle differences in the laws in every country, but the principles and humanity is the same here as it is there. That's why it kind of makes me laugh when you see the skeptics of chiropractic in, let's say, Australia, gaining a foothold in the profession, and they question the science. And I say, how could you be questioning the science when the science in the United States, because this profession was born in the United States in 1895, in our healthcare system, in Medicare, the government accepts the science behind chiropractic and pays for chiropractic care as a result of that. So how is the science different here in the United States than what it is in Australia or what it is in the UK? And the answer to that is the science is not different. What is different is the politics. And so what makes me unique is not only the vision that I have, but also the understanding of the educational process in chiropractic and the political process in chiropractic. I'm involved in the business of chiropractic. I'm involved in the politics of chiropractic. I'm involved in the educational process of chiropractic. And what you'll see, so many doctors of chiropractic that you'll see on a chiropractic stage, they're pushing, of course, what they're trying to sell you, their product or their service or their coaching program. But then when you look for them out in the political spectrum, they're not there. Then when you look for them in the chiropractic educational programs, they're not there. In other words, the only thing that they support many times are themselves. And one of the things that many people who know me know that I live for something bigger than myself. The fact of the matter is, no matter how good I take care of myself, most of us are only going to be on the planet about 100 years. So we have a very short period of time to make an impact. And I know that clock is ticking. And my goal, before I check out of here, is to motivate and move the puck forward in the chiropractic profession. And I know the only way to do that is not only having business success. Business success is great, but then you have a moral obligation and a responsibility to use the blessings that you've received from being a great businessman in chiropractic, being a great technician in chiropractic, being a great diagnostician in chiropractic, being a great healer in the chiropractic world. Then you have a moral obligation to take the abundance and wealth from that blessing that you've received and give back to the educational process and give back to the political process. Because the fact of the matter is, if we took over the educational process as we know it today, and we had better control over what students were learning, and we took over the political process in chiropractic, and we had better control of what the laws were as they pertain to chiropractic, we would have complete control of this profession, and then we could focus on getting this thing to more people on the planet. We're being stymied right now because there's so many chiropractors that graduate from chiropractic, quote, chiropractic colleges that have not learned who they are, what they do, and why in chiropractic. They have not learned the big idea, and they don't know how to communicate it. So if you don't know that, what kind of impact do you expect to make in this great vision that we have of every man, woman, and child on the planet checked for vertebral subluxation and adjusted when necessary from birth? If you are not involved in politics, what hope do we have on promulgating laws that ensure that chiropractic care is accessible to everybody on the planet? See, this is the big idea, and I think this is what makes me unique, is that I'm not just about, of course I have businesses, and of course I love to sell, and of course I feel that I provide tremendous value for people and increase their level of profitability and abundance in their lives. But boy, I have a burning desire. Sometimes I look at my day and 75-80% of my day is focused on things that are not going to make me $1, okay? But they're things that are going to get more chiropractic to more people on the planet. And that's what really drives me. And I think if anybody is looking for motivation in practice, sure, finances can do it. Sure, having a more abundant lifestyle can do it, but boy, what really is going to spizz you and move you forward to take the action that will create even more financial abundance in your life is falling in love with this thing called chiropractic, falling in love with the idea of being so blessed by this gift called chiropractic. And with that blessing, you have the moral obligation to get it out to the world. And if that's what drives you, if that's your burning desire when you wake up, you become a person who is unstoppable because you're not looking to get, you're actually looking to give. And what we find is the more you give, the more the universe gives back to you. And that's what I've always found in my life. I've always had more than enough, and I've never focused solely on profitability, on money. I've always focused on creating tremendous value for people. And I found that when I create tremendous value for other people, and chiropractic is a great vehicle to do that, when I find that I create tremendous value for other people, I find that they create value for me as well.
Well, listening to you, Liam, I've gotten to know you pretty well over the past couple of years, and I really appreciate your friendship and everything that you do. I look at you as a true leader in this chiropractic world, and I think that the more people get to know you, the better. Now, I just wanted to get off script just a little bit and ask you, if somebody's out there and they're kind of, scuffling around and trying to figure it out, what could you share with them to keep their commitment and momentum to elevate their standards?
Now, are you talking about, in other words, that somebody, are they chiropractors?
Oh yeah, definitely. They're the chiropractor that doesn't understand the big idea that you mentioned.
Right. So the first thing that I would do is I would start hanging around successful chiropractors. Tony Robbins has this saying that I just love. It's success leaves clues. And I know, Jim, you find yourself all the time hanging out with successful chiropractors. And what happens is, when you pick these events and you make a decision to be at these events, and I'm talking like, for example, the Berkshire Philosophy event or Mile High or Sherman Lyceum or, a Schubel Vision event, there's so many different events, Life West, the Wave, taking place. When you get around successful people in chiropractic, what happens is your mindset starts to change. I'll give you an example of that. When I first came back to this country, I was practicing outside the United States for quite some time, and I came back to this country, and I was really excited because I was coming into this community, and I said, great, I'm going to contact all the chiropractors in this community. I want to get everybody together, and let's get spizzed, and let's talk about how we can serve more people and make a greater impact working together. And I sat down and I just listened to these chiropractors cry and moan about the business environment, and they were talking about HMO and PPO and C3PO and I don't know, all kinds of focusing on all these third-party paying systems. I said, hey, when are we going to talk about chiropractic? When are we going to talk about, bringing this thing to more people? And their focus was just focusing on what they didn't have, focused on lack. And I said, gosh, this is so depressing. And by the way, each and every one of them, because they were focused on lack, kept creating more lack in their lives, because whatever you think about is what you bring about. And so I said, this is crazy. So I started to go to these events, like I said, Mile High or Berkshire Philosophy event and Sherman Lyceum. And I started to surround myself with successful chiropractors here. And I noticed that when I'm around them, they motivate me and they inspire me to up my game. And so they have resources, because there's nobody who knows everything. Every single person that you meet at these events has a different take on chiropractic, but they have also different life experiences, and they can share, and you can win from those shares. And so, what I found is surrounding myself with people that are on fire causes me to burn at a greater level than I would if I wasn't around them. And so that's the number one thing I would do, is start surrounding yourself with successful people, because what you're going to find is that those successful people have access to resources that you don't have access to, that you don't have access to because you're not in that group, you're not in that clique. And so you need to get in with those people so that you can start to find out how it is that you're doing it. People are not successful just by accident. They're successful because they think a certain way and they do things a certain way. If you want to achieve what they've achieved, all you have to do is think the way they do and do the things that they do, and you'll make that happen. And one final example on that, I remember when I first went into chiropractic practice, there was a doctor, Dr. Ray Page, and he was a Gonstead practitioner. He was seeing 500 visits a week. Okay, I came to a country where this is Peru, I arrived in. I couldn't speak the language, and I'm fresh out of school, and I was an upper cervical practitioner. And I said, gosh, I want to have 500 visits a week. So what I did was I followed this guy around. I was his shadow 24 hours, 7 days a week. I said, how does he think? What does he say? What does he do? Right? And I'm going to duplicate everything he does until I get to 500 a week. And I remember I even took at this time, guys, they had, Jim and Luke, they had this thing called a tape recorder. And so I took a tape recorder and I recorded his communication with his patients, his health talk. I would record it and I would transcribe it out. And now, God, I didn't even understand Spanish, but I would read from a paper. Can you imagine if I had a new patient? I would read from a paper the chiropractic story that this doctor had spoken, and I read it right off a paper. And I don't even know how I got any new patients to stay with me because I had to be so incredibly boring. But again, and we were having this conversation in another group today, I wasn't afraid of making a fool out of myself. I wasn't afraid of being uncomfortable because I knew that the message that I had of chiropractic was much more powerful and much more transformational. And I knew it was only a matter of time if I continued to do the action steps that this doctor who was seeing 500 a week did. I knew I would make it to that level, and that's exactly what I did. And then when I got to 500, I looked for another mentor. I wanted to go with 1,000. And then when I got to 1,000, I said, you know what, that's pretty much all I want to see. And that's how I started. So I developed the systems to get to that level. And it requires mindset change. It requires systems changes as well. And that's what so many people, they just focus on the how, right? The systems, which are supremely important. But a lot of people don't do any work on the why and on the mindset. And I think in our Schubel Vision Elite program, that's one of the things that sets us apart is we focus on both of those, because you need to have systems on the how, and you also need to have systems that connect you with the why, if you truly want to be impacting the world at your highest potential.
Now, a couple times now you mentioned Schubel Vision. Could you go in depth about what that is a little more for the folks listening?
Yeah, so Luke, what I noticed when I got back to this country was, and as I've traveled all over the world, I've probably been on every chiropractic stage on the planet. And what I've noticed is there's so many chiropractic practitioners out there around the world that have such beautiful hearts. They're really beautiful people with beautiful hands and beautiful skills to restore lives into people. Yet I find so many of them suffering, and it hurts me, because you don't mind if your enemy is suffering. It's like you feel kind of good about it. But when your fellow chiropractor, who's dedicated his or her life to serve people, to help them, when they're having to close the doors, when they can't pay their student loans, when they can't afford to take a vacation, when they can't afford to spend time with their family, it hits me right in my heart, and I just said, gosh, this is crazy. We've got to do something about this. And that was the impetus for me to start this Schubel Vision Elite program. It's schubelvisionelite.com. And now here's the thing. So many doctors of chiropractic, and I just had one the other day that said in the past 3 years they spent close to $30,000 on coaching. That was the other step, right? So now I'm beaten. I'm demoralized, right? I can't make it in practice. I'm about ready to close the door. So I throw the dice in on a coach. And I'm spending $1,200 hard-earned dollars a month on a coach. And I signed this 3-year coaching program, and I can't get out of it now. There's all kinds of penalties. And I talked to a student the other day who was in a 5-year, $35,000 coaching contract, and he can't get out of it. And I find after a month or two that this is not me. This guy's coaching me. I don't agree with his philosophy. I don't agree with the way he's doing things. And now I'm stuck. And I've got, now on top of not doing well in practice, now I'm also giving a good portion of my income to this coach. And I can't get away from it. I can't get out of it. So I wanted to create a system where you could have access to the systems that we use. I've used it to create 20 chiropractic offices. One of my cohorts in the program, Dr. Frankie Hahn, has $1 million a year net practice in the People's Republic of New Jersey here in the United States. And of course, Judd O'Grady has multiple successful practices using these systems. And so what we've done is we've lowered the cost barrier, and we've lowered the commitment barrier. Right? So those are the two things that kill people in coaching. It's like, gosh, I'm with this coach and I can't stand the information, but I can't get out of the program, and I'm on the hook for $1,200 or $1,200. I saw a program in Europe that was €1,200 a month plus going to these seminars 4 times a year. Now, what's that going to implicate in cost? I go to the seminar and I see all the the coach's top clients. I pay to go to the seminar to see the coach sell his seminar to other clients, and I'm like, oh God, this is killing me. 1,200 euros a month to do that, plus airfare, plus hotel, plus time away from the family. And with technology, and I know Jim and Luke, you guys are great with technology. With technology, you don't have to do that anymore. So what I've done is I've put all these systems into simple videos for people to follow, and I've put those into the SchubelvisionElite.com program. And so people come in, and here's the best part: it's $75 a month. I don't care how unfortunate you're doing in practice. $75. I actually had a client the other day give a testimonial to me, and he was with a very well-known coaching program out in the Midwest, and he joined our program, and he couldn't believe the value that we were giving for $75 a month. And he said, you know what? The great thing about this program is, number one, it's so inexpensive. The material is so phenomenal. It's already improved the quality of my practice. But there's no contract. So in the moment that I find that this is not for me, I'm out. I just send an email and I'm gone. There's no Schubel coming after you with penalties because you backed out of the program or the program wasn't right for you. And he said, people spend $75 a month. They spend that on Starbucks. They spend that going out one night to dinner. And it says, if you could just sacrifice that and get into this program, you would be amazed. We had another client, 3 months in the program, they've already doubled their practice. They said, you'd be amazed at the benefits that you can receive from just this small investment. And so, again, why do I do that? Because my vision is gigantic. I mean, I want to have 1,000 people in that program to start, right? I mean, and then financially, that'll be phenomenal for me, but also that's going to be financially phenomenal for everybody that's in the program because they're only paying out $75. I had one guy say the other day, I paid out $75 and watching the first video, I made $25,000 or more. He says, that's a pretty good ROI. And so that's what we wanted to do. We want to help, again, and we want to help chiropractors be more successful in practice, create more abundance in their lives, have more profit, have more fun. This is another client told me, I'm just having more fun in practice because the systems that we use are actually congruent with the chiropractic philosophy. It's not a bait and switch. It's not a hard pressure sales strategy that we have. When we talk to patients, what we've done in the exam and what we say at the report of findings is all completely logical, completely congruent, and the patients are excited about it. And they're actually looking then, this is another thing people say, I've never had so many people after the first consult say to me, you know what, when can I bring my friend, my friends and family need this. When can I bring my family in for this? That's what should be happening if your systems are spot on. And again, I've developed these systems over the course of 20 years, and Dr. Frank Hahn has been almost 10 years in the business, and Dr. Judd O'Grady's 20 years in the business. We're not going anywhere. If anything, we're getting bigger and bigger, and I love the power also of the mastermind, because here's the other thing. Remember I talked to you about success leaves clues. The great thing about the private Facebook page that we have in Schubel Vision Elite is that it's a mastermind. So you have doctors from all over the world. We've got guys from the UK, from Australia that chime in with their specific challenges that they might be having in their specific countries, and everybody comes to the rescue. And what happens is, what we find, there's not just one way to do things. You see coaches so many times going, you do it my way or the highway, or people say, buy my book and follow it exactly, or get out, There's more than one way to do things. And so you have to be, and by the way, and the game is always changing. You have to be dynamic. And that's what the power of the mastermind is. You have, 30, 40, 50 people chiming in saying, hey, listen, this is how I took care of that. This is a better way to do it. Hey, you know what? That's a great idea, but why don't you add this, right? And so it's like, wow, all of a sudden now I've got all these friends. When I'm down, when I'm having an issue, I don't feel alone in practice anymore. I go right to my group. And that's not a coach who's yelling at me on the phone. I'm not calling you every week, badgering you. I'm laying it out in the program. The program's completely laid out for you. You work as hard as you want on the program, as little or as much as you want to work on the program. Your growth is dependent on you and how much you want to apply and how little you want to apply and what things you want to apply, what things work for you, what don't work for you. And again, the whole time you don't have this tremendous specter of 1,200 euros or even more hanging over your head, where you have to get value for it, but because you're driven because you just can't take the pain of what you're paying out to these practice management groups. So that's why I'm very excited about it. I think it's a groundbreaking thing for the chiropractic profession. And again, it's something that the fresh out of school practitioner can use. We have students in the program as well. Because listen, if I'm a student, what's smart for me? Do I want to wait until I open up practice to start learning how to do it? Because I have to make the student loan payments. Or would I in school, and this is the thing, we wanted to make it affordable for students. Can I do this program while I'm in school, learn the whole procedure so that when I open up my doors, I'm hitting the ground running. I'm not starting from ground zero. I'm already advanced in my studies. So we have, like, for example, marketing strategies that work on the short term. Like, I need new patients and I need them now. Okay, great. We've got strategies for that. There's, some chiropractic coaches and programs out there that they have all these long-term marketing strategies, and those are great. But listen, if you need new people in the door now, you can't have your entire marketing focus on, handing out, coffee mugs at the next parade, and hoping that 2 years from now somebody will say, hey, I remember that coffee cup you gave to me. That was a great branding strategy that you did, and that's what brought me into the practice. No, you need practice members right now, and you also need to have that long-term marketing and branding recognition strategy. So we provide all that in the Schubel Vision Elite program, and we do it without contracts and for a very little buy-in fee. It's only $75 a month. So again, in my vision, you have nothing to lose being in that program. And what I'll often say is, don't join the program if you enjoy losing money. Because right now, in my view, if you're not in the Schubel Vision Elite program, you're losing money, because we have tremendous strategies there to increase your bottom line, to increase your profitability, and to expand. I am working with right now in my business 25 chiropractic associates. I know the associate business, and there's so many doctors of chiropractic that make so many mistakes as far as even hiring an associate, when to expand, what kind of contracts should they be offering? How do you do the training with an associate? What am I looking for in an associate? All these type of questions that people, spend the equivalent of a Harvard MBA on mistakes, right? With money they lose for making mistakes. They could gain that information in the SchubelVisionElite.com program for only $75 a month and no contracts whatsoever. So, if you're into winning, then we're here for you. And again, it's not a hard sell. If you're in it, fantastic. Here's what we have going on. If you're not, feel free to leave at any time. We stand by the quality and the value of what we do, and we stand by the results of our clients. And that's what we're seeing consistently now, is people are raving about this. And as a result, it's growing like mad. I expect it to be at 1,000 by the end of next year.
First off, I want to say that your program is so affordable, even I could afford it.
This is the whole point, right? And so many doctors of chiropractic have gotten themselves in positions. I'm telling you, I get these phone calls that they are at their wits' end. They don't know what to do. And it's a big leap of faith for somebody to spend $1,200 a month and say, listen, I'm going to commit to a 5-year coaching program for $35,000. I don't even know where I'm going to get my next dollar, and yet I'm going to commit to this program. But they're desperate, and so they do it. And what I wanted to give this opportunity of these poor, these unfortunate individuals that haven't had the education that I've had, that haven't had the training that I've had, that haven't had the experience that I have. I want to give them the opportunity to have it, because the end result is this: the more successful chiropractors we have, that's going to bring more people towards the vision that I have. Every man, woman, and child on the planet checked for vertebral subluxation and adjusted when necessary from birth. Doctors of chiropractic, no matter how good their hands are and how good their hearts are, if they don't have these business systems down, they're going to be ineffective in their ability to impact the community. I would love to say that you go into a community and adjust one person and get them well, help them to get well, and your office is going to be flooded. But I've been to some masterful doctors of chiropractic. They're absolute wizards. When you lay down on the table, you just go, gosh, I've just been touched by the hand of God. And then you get up off the table and you go out in the waiting room and you hear the crickets, because there's nobody there, because they don't have the other business systems down. I see it so often, and it's totally avoidable. And now, especially in this system that we've created, as you say, Luke, anybody can afford this. So that's what we wanted to do, and we wanted to do it in a way, again, that you're not locked in. You try it out, you do the test drive. If you don't like it, the most you could possibly lose is $75. So you'll have to go without Starbucks this month, or maybe go out to eat one time less in the month. But if you're like everybody that gets in the program, they all find value for it. I haven't had anybody say yet that, get this, I've had this program going for now 3-4 months, I think, and I haven't had one person cancel out saying, you know what, I just didn't get any value, or this is not for me.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Chiro's Sushi, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic boot camp, California Jam, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Pure Chiro Notes, the Chiro Dex app, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Chiro Spark, Chirogram, Chiropractic Wealth Management, and 8 Weeks to Wellness. Let's hustle.
So what would more doctors and doctors of the future be able to accomplish if more of them knew about and utilized your program for their own practices?
Well, I think this is the thing, right? So we have, in the chiropractic profession, the reason that our market share is not growing, the reason more and more people aren't under chiropractic care, is because, quite simply, the overwhelming majority of chiropractic students that are graduating today out into the field, they are sorely unprepared for what they're about to face. They have massive student debts. They have not had any courses in communication. They've had a minimum level of courses in business. They have no courses whatsoever in sales. They have no courses in how to hire, how to train a team that wins. They know nothing about how to run a successful business in chiropractic. And then you link that with, they really don't even know what the true power of chiropractic is. They think, they're going out into the world thinking that chiropractors treat musculoskeletal conditions. That's what we do. And now they're going into a community selling that message of musculoskeletal conditions, of which only 10% of the population is suffering from a musculoskeletal condition at any given point in time. And then that person with the musculoskeletal condition, they have many, many options. They have a plethora of options to treat that musculoskeletal conditions, of which chiropractic is probably one of the last on the list, right? They first go to medicine, then they're going to go to physiotherapy, then they might use some acupuncture, then they might use some massage, then they might use Rolfing, then they might go into, positive mental attitude, nutrition, whatever it is. And then they finally go to the chiropractor as the last resort. So if your focus, graduating from school, is on just treating musculoskeletal conditions, that's a horrific marketing strategy just from the get-go, because the competition is fierce, and you're not frankly, you're not the cultural authority for treating musculoskeletal conditions, whether you like it or not. But the great thing about when you understand what the true potential of chiropractic is, the great thing is you go into a market where you say, let's see here, I've got 50,000 people in this community. Oh yeah, all of them can be chiropractic patients. Okay, so because if you have a spine and a life force and you're subluxated, I can help you express your life at a greater potential, because that's what I do. I'm the only doctor in the world that's highly trained to detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. I'm it. And so then your marketing strategy becomes very different from just moving towards musculoskeletal treatments. And by the way, we get a lot of people with low back pain. We get a lot of people with neck pain. But that's not what our practice is about. Our practice is about the optimal expression of the human existence. And we get to that objective through the detection, analysis, and adjustment of vertebral subluxation. So if chiropractors can get their heads on straight, we could take over the world. We could become the cultural authority for the optimal expression of life on the planet. Whereas someday, this is what I eventually see happening, someday a child is born in this new world that we're going to create, this chiropractic utopia. Someday a child is born, and the attending doctor says, "Okay, who's going to check? Before we get anything, before we go into this delivery here, who's going to check the baby for vertebral subluxation when they're born?" Because obviously, ready? They say, obviously, all you people, as you know, obviously, as all you people know here, the scientific studies show that one of the most frequent subluxations that occurs during the traumatic birth process, and that's in the atlas, the first cervical vertebra or the second cervical vertebra of the axis, And it's obvious that we need somebody here to make sure that this child can express themselves optimally from day one. Isn't that right, parents? Yes, of course, doctor. We brought our favorite chiropractor, Dr. Liam Schubel. He's here today. Okay, fantastic, Dr. Schubel. Great to have you on board. I've seen you at many of these births. I'm glad you're here, right? That's the relationship that we should all be having. Medical doctors, by the way, this is another thing I think that there's two different ways, there's two different mistakes that we're making in the chiropractic profession right now. One is we're teaching that chiropractic is a treatment for musculoskeletal conditions. The second mistake that we're making is that because we're doing that, we're limiting our market, and frankly, we're not the cultural authority for doing that. So that's a mistake 100% for the growth of chiropractic. The second mistake we're making is that many of us are attacking medicine, and that is a huge mistake. Medicine is not our enemy. Matter of fact, they don't even care about us. They're worried about their own situation with third-party paying and everything, and they don't understand what we do. So, one of the things I like to do in the communities where I have offices is I reach out to the medical doctors, and I establish friendly relationships with them and professional relationships with them, because there's a time and a place for medicine. And don't you want to have a conservative-minded medical doctor to work with when you have a patient that needs some type of medical care? And don't you want that medical doctor to understand what it is you do with chiropractic? Now, they might not get the whole story, but if they like you as a person and what you say is logical and reasonable, then it's just a matter of time. They have patients every day that they don't know what to do with, that they're frustrated with, and they would love to have different options. And so if you could show them, look at the results that we're getting with patients that are having these type of issues or conditions in the office. Hey, if you see any of those, doc, I'd love to help you out and co-treat those with you. I'd love to work with you in coordination with you. Boy, we could make huge changes. Again, the medical doctors are not our enemy. So we have to learn the communication skills to reach out to them, bridge those gaps, so that in the end, I got to tell you, I know so many good medical doctors that they go to work every day to help people, just like chiropractors go to work every day to help people, just like therapists go to work to help people, right? There's so many great ones. What we need to do is be working in unison with our specific profession, whatever it is that we're working in, our specific profession, to do the best that we can for the patient. People talk about patient-centered care. I'm all for that. We should all be working to do what's best for the patient. And I don't think anybody can argue from a rational or logical standpoint that what is best for every single patient on the planet is to have a nerve system that is free from interference, that is not laden down with the burdens of subluxation, that it doesn't have the madman with the monkey or the madman with his thumb on the switch of humanity, as B.J. Palmer used to call manipulators of the spine. He'd call them madmen with a monkey wrench on the brainstem. The nerve system is so vital, and chiropractors, we're not manipulators. Chiropractors do a very specific art. It's called an adjustment, and that adjustment is very specific with one objective only, and that is to remove the interference to the expression of the innate intelligence of that human being by correcting that vertebral subluxation. So we have our fingers on basically the optimal expression of the life force of all of humanity, and we need to start communicating with our fellow professionals about just what it is that we do. And the best way to communicate with somebody is not to attack them. It's to gain a level of understanding and gain a level of agreement. And the way you do that is through specific systems of communication. And those are just some of the things that we teach in the Schubel Vision Elite program. So I see huge potential for us, but we need to avoid those two pratfalls that are so plaguing our profession. One is focusing just on musculoskeletal conditions and the treatment thereof. And the second one is bashing medicine and screaming from the rooftops how bad medicine is. Because the fact of the matter is, even our chiropractic philosophy purports that there are limitations of matter, and where medicine functions wonderfully is in treating those limitations of matter, right? If I have a pancreas that is dead, it's dead as a doornail. It's not going to work, no matter how many adjustments I get, right? And my nerve system's completely clear, but I don't have a pancreas that works. If I don't have insulin, I'm dead as a doornail, right? If I have a tumor that's pressing on my nerve system, right, I can get adjustments all day long. And by the way, maybe the tumor will resolve itself. But if it doesn't, then thank goodness goodness I have a surgeon to take away that obstruction to the healing process. The surgeon's not doing the healing, just like the chiropractor's not doing the healing. The surgeon's goal, and just like the chiropractor's goal should be, is to remove that specific obstruction to healing of the innate intelligence. With the surgeon, he might remove it with a laser or a knife. With the medical doctor, he might help innate along when it's at the limitation of matter by putting something into the body that it just cannot produce. And the chiropractor, what they do is they remove that obstruction to the nerve system, allowing the innate expression to work at its optimal potential. And that's what every healthcare professional should be working on. There's no room for us to be attacking others. We need to be working in unison with other people for the benefit of the patient.
Well, I think, Liam, you said something really important there, and you said building relationships, and what I call that is relationship marketing. Now, what are some other key strategies that you do to market to the populace, and how do you stay current with them in the media, and what are you doing on social?
Right. So, I use this analogy of, if you want to catch more fish, you're better off not just having one line in the water. And I was working with a client today, and we were going over what their marketing strategy was, and I had laid out a whole series of action steps that I wanted them to look into. And they came back to me with just one, and it was, I'm going to work on stimulating more referrals, and I'm going to use, discuss certain testimonials in my office with each patient that comes in. I'm going to discuss certain research. I'm going to use a touch and tell method, and I'm going to stimulate more referrals, and that's all I'm going to do. And I said, you know what, why are you going to do that? And they said, well, those are the best patients. And I agree, referrals are certainly the best patients. But why would you limit yourself? If you have a goal in your practice, you want to achieve a greater level of abundance in your practice, just as if you want to catch a greater amount of fish, why would you only use, that would be like saying, well, I have this lure, it's the best lure, it works the best to catch fish, so I'm only going to use one line, put that in the water, and that's it. Well, what if you had that one lure, but then you had 50 other lines in the water, and don't you think those other lines, even though they might not be optimal, wouldn't they catch more fish for you? And so that's my idea with marketing. So, you mentioned social media. We're leveraged into advertising on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. We're working with Twitter as well. We work with the Google ads. I mean, we have our lines out on everything. We have those four things are constantly catching fish for us, so to speak. But we don't stop there. We do radio, we do television, and by the way, we don't pay for any radio and television because I have a system on how to get on radio and television for free. And there's a system of procedures that sets you up to get those interviews. And you want to talk about creating social credibility. Oh my goodness, you go live on television or you go on the radio, that creates a lot of social proof and social credibility for you. And it's not difficult. It's simple, but you have to do these habits, these successful habits. So that's another avenue of marketing that we use. Also, we do one-on-one. We do things like spinal screenings, which, so many doctors of chiropractic look down on spinal screenings. And I say, that's great. If you're in the position of life where maybe you don't need to do those, maybe that's not something that you feel comfortable doing, well, then I say, fine, work on other marketing strategies. But I have to tell you, I have not seen, other than well-placed social media ads, I think are very good. I have not seen anything for almost zero cost with huge ROI as spinal screenings. And a lot of people, they blame the spinal screening. They say, I've done those spinal screenings and nobody ever comes in. Yes, because you've done them incorrectly, right? You don't have a system that works to generate new ones from spinal screenings. And we have a system of doing spinal screenings where the ROI is tremendous, number one. Number two is it's not a hard sell. And number three is no matter what happens at the end of the interaction with the prospective client, it's a winning situation. And so what you mentioned, Jim, we're creating a relationship, yes or yes. And it's going to be a good relationship, yes or yes. Whether they come in or not, they are going to have had a positive experience with our office. And they may come in later or they may not. But they know who we are, they know what we do, and they know why chiropractic is important. And frankly, when we can explain that, more often than not, those people are going to be coming into our office. So I love spinal screenings because, again, they're very easy to set up and they cost very little, which is something very important for a doctor who's just starting out, and they produce results immediately. A lot of the relationship marketing that people talk about, doing a wine and cheese party or having a whiskey tasting fest or, having a massage night or a foot rub night in the office, those type of relationship marketing, they're great, but they're more of a long-term marketing strategy. So you need to combine your long-term strategies with your short-term strategies. And that's what I find so many people in so many other groups are saying, you know what, the person here is sharing all these relationship marketing strategies, and yes, they're great. And I know at some point they're going to, produce results. I went to a parade and I handed out, 50 coffee mugs with my name on it. I know hopefully and I talked to some people and that might produce results. But on the short term, there is nothing like the spinal screenings. And then another one I've been very successful at is what I call the dinner with the doc. And that's some people have done those and not done well, right, from other systems. But with our system, we know it works because we do it over and over and over again. So I love, for example, in there's a thing in major level Madison Avenue marketing. There's a thing called a control group. Actually, I can't think of the name of it exactly right now, but it's basically a group of, in marketing, they look for a group of fans for the it's like a test marketing group. And so let's say I'm in Coca-Cola and I find a series of people that are absolutely fanatical about Coca-Cola. I sit those people down and I want to know, why are they so fanatical about Coca-Cola? And I want to attract more people like them. So I want to find out what the characteristics of these fanatics are. One of the things that we do in our practices with the dinner with the doc that is different from a lot of people is we identify during the course of the month, who are the fanatics? Who are the people that we love everybody in our practice, but who are the people we absolutely love, like on top of love? And those are the people that they love to be there, they get great results, they refer other people to the practice. And we invite those people to dinner, and then we invite their friends to dinner because, right, if you're somebody who's phenomenal, chances are you have phenomenal friends as well. And so we target those type of people so that we're not just inviting anybody willy-nilly to dinner, which, by the way, can still work, and it can work phenomenally if you have the system to make that happen. But we do specific targeted dinners to our raving fans because we want to generate more of those raving fans and clients. And that's just another one of the marketing strategies that we use. Another one, and I just got so many, but I think I'll end it with this one. There's another one that we do, which is called, Lunch with the Medic. And what we do is we reach out to medical doctors in the community and we invite them to lunch. And you'd be surprised at how disarming that is to a medical doctor. First of all, I think just about any chiropractor, if a medical doctor invited them to lunch, they'd go. I think if anybody invited them to lunch, they'd probably go just for the free lunch, right? So the medical doctors, we get there and we get them in an environment that's friendly, and we ask them about what it is they do. We ask them what type of referrals they would accept from us, et cetera. And then gradually the conversation works around to what it is that we do. And that's when we establish that relationship with them. And again, we're speaking to them not from a crazy standpoint, not from an attacking standpoint, from a logical, rational standpoint. And they like us by the end of the conversation. So they like us, they know what we do, they know the types of people that we help, and they're more likely to start referrals. So can you imagine if you did that, one time a week for the next 50 weeks? Imagine having 50 medical doctors who, by the way, they come across people that you can help all the time. Can you imagine having 50 medical doctors that are sending people into your practice? We have that. And so that's why I'm talking about you have to have multiple lines in the water if you want to, see, my idea is failure is not an option. So when I set a goal, I don't just share that goal with myself. I share that goal with my team, and then we lay out specific action steps in order to achieve that goal. And failure is not an option for us. So we absolutely deluge, our calendars with marketing opportunities so that we can get this message out to the world. And the reason we do that, again, the modus operandi, the drive behind what we do is the passion that we have and the understanding that we have for the blessings that we have with chiropractic. And once you understand truly the blessings that you have in chiropractic, then you start to have this moral obligation to get those blessings out in the world. And then it doesn't become about you anymore. I'm not taking the action steps this week so I can increase my bottom line. I take the action steps because I have the moral obligation to get this message out to the world. Guess what happens when I do that? My bottom line goes up. For every action, there's a reaction. And for every inaction, there's no action. And no action equals death on all accounts.
So, in your spare time, what kind of things do you listen to and read? Are there any books or podcasts you're in the middle of right now?
Yeah, actually, I was listening to Dr. Sid Williams on YouTube the other day, and it was great. He was going through some of the history of chiropractic. So, you know, I love listening to Sid Williams, Fred Barge, Reggie Gold is a big one. I actually, you know, it's going to sound crazy. I actually listen to my podcast. I love, you know, just hearing this positivity going on all the time. Some of my other ones, I love Cornell Zeus Cornish right now, is a great speaker in chiropractic, who's phenomenal. You know, I just constantly am feeding myself. And by the way, and people that are not in chiropractic, I like listening to Tony Robbins. I've been listening lately to Ty Rodriguez a lot. You know, one of the things that he was saying that I found very, very true when I first started out my practice, you know, I was single, and my idea was I was going to take almost no profit, and I put almost everything back into my marketing budget, and it was huge. And he was talking about, and I'm not recommending this, but I'm saying one of the things that he was saying that I thought was an interesting standpoint, he was saying from an entrepreneurial standpoint, if you're in business, you should be at least, I think he was saying, 20% of your income should be going to marketing. So if you want to bring in $1 million, you should be spending $200,000 a year in marketing. So I listen to these guys because this is what they're in the game. They're dynamic. The game is always changing. I like Matthew Loop too. Matthew Loop is always throwing out you know, some great stuff. You know who's great too is Tristan Schaub, is also absolutely phenomenal. And bringing me up to date in this social media world, I'm constantly learning from those guys. So, you know, I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly reading. You know, it's you know, one of the things I was just reading lately was Straight Line Leadership. You know, you never stop learning. And, you know, B.J. Palmer said, whenever you think you're ripe, that's when you start to rot. And I'm certainly not into rotting. I want to continue to expand. I want to continue to grow because, gosh, there's so many people. There's people today. There's people right at this moment, because they didn't hear my message, are going to die. There's people right in this moment, because they didn't hear my message, they're going to be paralyzed for life. There's people right at this moment that haven't heard my message yet that are making idiotic decisions with their health. And it's going to affect them. It's going to affect their children. And it's going to affect the generations to come. And so this thing that we're doing is not about me. It's about something a lot bigger than myself. And so I like to listen to people that are moving the puck forward, that are moving humanity forward, that are interested in transformation and evolution of the planet. And I'm constantly connecting myself, because if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. I constantly try to feed my mind with positivity and with dynamic speakers that are changing the world, because that's what I want to do with the short time I have here on the planet.
Well, we're also starting to get towards the end of our episode for the day. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to ask you?
Yeah, I would just say for those people that are interested in getting more information about what it is that we do, because a lot of people don't know exactly all the fishing lines that I have in the chiropractic world. And I'll just lay them out. You can get all the information that you want about the Schubel Vision Elite systems at schubelvisionelite.com. Schubel Vision Elite. My name is Schubel. Schubel visionelite.com. We also have a clearinghouse for everything else other than schubelvisionelite.com, and that's schubelvisionworldwide.com. At schubelvisionworldwide.com, you're going to be able to find out the information about Schubel Vision Elite, the systems that we have to create massive abundance in your practice. You're also going to learn about associate opportunities that we have in our chiropractic offices. You know, there's a lot of students in school that want to learn from the best, and we have like what we call an intensive chiropractic paratrooper training. Like we throw you out of a plane with a parachute at the end of our program, and you're going to be able to come out in any community with your pisiforms blazing. And that's an intensive, immersive program in our systems. And that takes place down in Latin America. So it's a great experience also to travel, right? So that can be found at schubelvisionworldwide.com, our associate positions. Also, we have a series of chiropractic communication products. We have posters, we have videos, we have dynamic brochures, all in beautiful color, and they're all congruent with the message of getting chiropractic to the world. That can be found as well at schubelvisionworldwide.com. And finally, we have a bestmissiontripever.com. We go to the Amazon jungle and we go to the Andes Mountains in Machu Picchu a few times a year. I think we're sold out to the end of 2018, but if you ever wanted to have the experience of your lifetime and really see what the potential chiropractic has to transform and evolve the world, and really see an amazing part of the world, which is Peru, a place really close to my heart, you can check it out at schubelvisionworldwide.com. There's there's a link on there. Join the best mission trip ever. And then finally, of course, I have my smash hit book, CAST to be Chiropractors, which you can get at casttobechiropractors.com. It's also available on Amazon.com in the UK, in the United States, in France, and I believe in Canada. And of course, if you write me, I'll send it to you. I send a lot of those out every month to Australia as they start to wake up. But it's absolutely phenomenal. CAST to be Chiropractors. It's all about the why behind chiropractic, and it takes you on a journey of how you develop the mindset of achievement and how to become unstoppable as a chiropractic practitioner. CASTToBeChiropractors.com. You can find it there or at SchubelVisionWorldwide.com. And of course, next year I'm going to be releasing my second book, which the first book is CAST to be Chiropractors. That's the why. And then my second book is going to be Schubel's Law of Business, and that's coming out next year. And I'm really excited about that. I've had some people actually testing out some of the strategies that were developed in this book, and they're already raving about it. So I think it's going to be another great gift to the profession. And again, I feel that I've been blessed in this life, and I want to give back those blessings and bring up more chiropractors. To me, if you're a chiropractor, by law and by definition, you should be successful in practice. If you're not, it's not because of chiropractic. It's not because of the principles of chiropractic. It's because there's something wrong with the systems that you're currently utilizing or not utilizing in your practice. And we can change that. And at SchubelVisionElite.com, you can test drive that for just $75 a month, again, with no contract. So listen, the ball is in your court, listener. If you're listening right now on the treadmill or wherever you're at, the ball is in your court to grow. The question is, are you going to pull the trigger? And I think I've made it so easy for you to pull the trigger that at this point, if you are not successful in practice, that's your decision, and you can live with that one. But I'm here for you at any time. You can reach out to me on Facebook and like my fan page, and I'd be happy to interact with you at any time if you have any other questions. I'm here to help. This is what I just love. What I do this 24 hours, 7 days a week. This is, people say, what's your hobby? Chiropractic. What's your profession? Chiropractic. What's your mission? Chiropractic. What do you love to do? Chiropractic. What do you think about chiropractic? That's what I do. I'm in love with this thing. I'm blessed to be in this thing, and if you want to share from my experience, if you want me to share some of my experience with you, happy to do it at any time. And I'm thankful to be on this program, Jim and Luke. I very much appreciate you guys bringing people like me to the profession, because there are so many people that are suffering and don't know what's out there, what's available to them. And I think this is going to be an opportunity to really change and transform lives. So I appreciate you guys always, the efforts that you have to move the puck forward in chiropractic.
Yeah, Liam, I appreciate you saying that too. And hopefully one of the things that really turns the corner for you is this Chiro Hustle podcast movement. And the next time somebody asks you, hey, Liam, what are you listening to? What's current in your life? You're like, yeah, I listened to this awesome podcast called Chiro Hustle. Those guys are really blazing a path. They're not chiropractors. And what they're doing is they're really helping getting the chiropractic message out there to the masses. And they love this profession. So I would recommend you to listen to this Chiro Hustle podcast.
Absolutely phenomenal. That's a great point. And so, yes, this Chiro Hustle podcast is something that everybody needs to be tuned into and be listening, because why wouldn't you want to be in connection with some of the highest producing chiropractors on the planet?
Yeah, and I think we do have the ability, because of the relationship branding and marketing that we've done, we have the ability to have contact and access to the brightest minds and the most successful people in the profession.
That is very true. As a matter of fact, as you know, every time you call me, I've never said no. I always schedule you immediately on my calendar. As full as it is, I always get you guys in.
And we always appreciate it, sir. And that's just about the end of our episode. I want to thank you again for being our guest today. It's been an honor for both of us.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor for me. And remember, folks, the bigger the vision, the bigger the life. Get a bigger vision, and let's take over this world with TIC, because there is 7.3 billion people on the planet that have spines and life forces, and they can be optimized through chiropractic care. And remember, we're the only doctors in the world that are highly trained to detect, analyze, and adjust vertebral subluxation. So get the systems to get out there and do it successfully. Love you guys and appreciate you. Thank you so much for the invite to be on this program.
Thank you. We love you too, sir.
See you, Liam. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.